I named it House Peace because your home is, to me, more of your heart and your relationships. So I can't always help with that, but I can help you in your house.
And then the expansion phase, what happened there? Like, what made that take place?
So I would love to tell you that I'm like super strategic and intentional.
Yeah.
But actually I'm more of an opportunist.
Yeah.
And so when I recognize an opportunity, I'll take it.
Welcome to the Uncommon Success Podcast. We are at episode 15.
Yes, welcome to our community. Glad that you are joining us today. We're back. I'm back now.
Finally. I don't know where you've been all this time.
Look, I listened last week to the podcast, and there was a lot of sound like you were trying to either get Christy to fire me or me not to come back, or sounds like you were up to something.
Christy was very kind.
I missed 1 week, and you disappeared for like a month on us, and we didn't give you a hard time at all about that.
Not at all. Not at all. Zero hard time. But you know who has been here for every single episode?
Yep. So, no, I don't think we have anyone who's been here for the whole episode.
Did you forget his name?
Yeah. I think everybody has missed an episode. Producers, technical directors.
He
everybody.
is going to turn this off.
He's
about to mute you.
Or he's going to turn a mic on. Is probably what's going to. That's what's
Oh,
happening.
yeah, he's taking
we're
over.
here now. I'm breaking the third wall here.
Yeah,
now.
so
I've never been on the official podcast.
For all of you,
but I've been here for every single one of them.
All of you who aren't on the Patreon, when we do our Patreon, Stephen oftentimes has a microphone, our technical director, and so somehow he armed himself with that many weeks ago for the Patreon, and now he's got one. But Stephen has been here for every episode, so perfect attendance for the first quarter for Stephen. So my wife made him cookies today, and
he needs a trophy though.
Yeah.
A medal.
Just you can have one of those medals back there.
One of those.
From something, But yeah. So Stephen, we haven't harassed him at all about anything either because he's been here the whole time. So, but I did watch last week, and it was a great episode. You guys did great without me.
It was great.
I was a little bit bothered because my former roommate was on here, and my wife was saying, "Hey, tell some juicy stories about my husband here." And I was proud of my boy Kyle.
Yeah.
Said, "Hey, we're not going to break the bro code."
But then he did.
And then I listened to the Patreon, and he broke the bro code.
He did.
So
I was really proud of him.
You were proud.
It was like he started out being all loyal and stuff, but by the end of it, we were able to corrupt him.
You corrupted him. Congratulations.
I like to think that we can corrupt people here at the Uncommon Success Podcast.
Yeah, well, you did a good job because he ended up dropping those stories and
good stories.
And we have him scheduled for the future to come on the podcast, and he mentioned about maybe telling some more stories next time. So I will not miss that one. I will be here for that episode. But you ladies did a great job holding down the fort while I was gone. I was away. My brother this past weekend ran a 100-mile race.
That is amazing. How many miles did you run?
I ran to the bathroom a few times. I did the crew for him. So
that's awesome.
He got down to his last lap. There were 12.5-mile laps, and he had to do 8 of them throughout the night or throughout the day. It was all day Saturday into Sunday morning. He finished early Sunday morning. And 26 hours it took him to do that.
So he didn't sleep.
Didn't sleep.
Did he eat?
He did eat every time he'd come through. So they have aid stations out there, but every 12.5 miles he'd come back to our little crew tent, and I would have food for him ready to go.
No naps.
No naps. So I say that, I think, so what happened, every time he'd come in, I'd make some soup for my brother. And in the early laps, he would eat this soup. And then he just stopped eating the soup. It took me an hour to heat that soup up in this little car-charged heating thing. Anyway, so he wasn't eating the soup and warming up his body. And on the last lap, starting lap 5, he would take a runner out with him, a pacer, who could be out there with him. So he had that for lap 5, lap 6, and lap 7. And on lap 7, his pacing partner was hurt. So he already run 25 miles with him.
He's done.
He's like, he threw his back out or something. And so
Excuses.
I was like, you're not going back out because Joey's got to finish. So I sent my brother on. I said, hey, go ahead. And I thought, man, I may go pace for him right here. I might do this for him. So I ran up to the gate to give him his phone because the temperatures were starting to drop. And I said, hey, take your jacket. He wouldn't take the jacket. So I went up there and at least tried to give him his phone. He wouldn't take his phone. And then with 5 miles to go on this race, he gets to an aid station, and he's freezing cold and just shaking like this.
Should have listened to you.
And he would have made it. He was shooting for 24 hours, and he'd have made it.
If he listened to you.
If he listened to me.
Wow.
He took the jacket And if he'd at least taken his phone, because it's 4 something in the morning,
Exactly.
and they made him stay there. And I think he took a little bit of a nap there for an hour and a half. He waited at that aid station to warm up.
I hope he's listening to this to know just.
He does listen.
Just
I'm going to
that
find out
yeah.
when he's listening,
Yeah.
if he does it when this releases, or if he's going to wait because I'm talking about him here. So it was a great time, though. We had a good. We slept all day on Sunday and then flew back on Monday, which happened to be on the eclipse day, which my brother scheduled tickets that were landing at the time the eclipse is hitting here.
Did you get to see it from the
I did.
air?
No, I saw it as soon as we landed.
Okay.
We landed. I got back home and put on my glasses and got to
I'd want to
watch
see it from the sky.
I was concerned about that. You know, you never know with that kind of stuff. I wasn't gonna chance nothing.
The plane goes out.
But I was like, who schedules for when you're having an eclipse to fly back in? But we made it back, and then I had an author signing this week, so it was a fun week. I had a good time.
That's awesome.
And but I'm excited about this podcast today.
Yeah.
Doing something a little different. Now, last week, I don't ever release who we're about to have on the podcast.
And the 1 week that you do,
And
you weren't even here.
We
did it.
1 week I am not here. My wife releases a little bit of sneak peek information. Well, just due to some conflicts of scheduling and stuff, our guest who was scheduled for this week actually couldn't make it, so we've rescheduled her for later on in this semester.
But we promise she's real.
She's real.
We promise.
She's real. She's coming. But my wife drops that little hint, and it didn't work out for her to be here for this recording. However, we had a guest who popped into our studio to do a little recording, and she's an entrepreneur. So after the great episode with Kyle, we thought, man, this would be great to go ahead and drop this content. So I sat down with her, did a little interview, and talked about her entrepreneurial journey. And so we're going to show or listen to, depending on whether you're watching on YouTube or listening, we're going to show you or let you listen to that interview right now. This week we had a guest who popped into our studio to do a little filming out of Birmingham and has come into the studio to do a little recording for her audience. And we thought, hey, it'd be fun just to pop on real fast and give you a little sneak peek into her story. And so I'm excited to have in studio with us today. Tara Bremer is in the house. So welcome,
Hi.
Tara.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so what we do on this podcast, we love just to hear people's stories. And so I thought it'd be fun for you to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then I'll just ask you some questions along the way, if that works.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. So let's start with, tell us just the snapshot, the elevator pitch of who Tara Bremer is.
Well, I am. Do you want me to say like personally? God, I'm already screwing up the elevator pitch. So I am a wife and a mom, a business owner. I'm a friend. My business. So I came into the studio to film a class for my my house piece audience. My business is home organization, and we're in 6 cities. More on the east side of the U.S. And so we love to do in-home organizing, but that's not available to everybody. So I made a class that's called Closet Piece, and in that I hold my students' hands and teach them how to organize their closets. So that's what I was doing here tonight. But I love home organization and efficiency. I'm an Enneagram 3. I hate waste. I hate wasting time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got 3 kids. I've got an 18-year-old about to graduate high school, and I've got a 14-year-old boy who is in 8th grade, and then a 12-year-old daughter who's in 6th grade.
Gosh, keeps you pretty busy, huh?
Very busy. Yes, we have this shared family calendar that's wackadoo, but
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's awesome. So Home Piece is the name of your business?
House
is that
Piece.
Right?
House
House
Piece,
Piece.
yep.
Okay, House Piece. And that's in multiple cities, kind of in the southeast, but you're launching into the online platform, I guess, and that's what we got to get a little sneak peek of tonight in studio
Yep.
as you were doing some recording. So tell us a little bit, what brought you to launching your business? Walk us through that journey a little bit.
So it has everything to do with being a mom and having little kids. So I have 3, and my daughter, the third, is she came into our family as a 19-month-old from China. She was adopted as a toddler, and so that comes with its own set of circumstances that are hard. You know, you've got this kid who doesn't speak English and doesn't eat our food, and she's a toddler. I don't know if you've been around toddlers, but they're not always super fun. Right. And so you don't have that foundation of all those baby months and years to get you through some of that. So it was challenging, and I just felt like I was drowning with the 3 kids, and like it just. being a mom can be so thankless. Especially, I was a stay-at-home mom. Like I was a therapist in my previous life, but I didn't go back to work when I had my oldest son. So again, let's go back to the Enneagram if you're into that at all. But like an Enneagram 3 thrives on some sort of affirmation. And when you're staying at home with the kids, no one's like, great job on teaching me how to use the
Right.
potty, Mom. You know what I mean? So like
all those victories go unnoticed,
unrecognized. I mean, if you have an
Yeah.
observant friend or observant spouse, like that's great. But I had kind of been organizing my own house as like a creative outlet. I was blogging about it. And at one point with the kids, I was like, you know what? I bet someone would pay me to organize for them. And so my kids were in Mother's Day out, the two little ones, and then the big one was in elementary school. I started a Facebook page. I named it, started a Facebook page, got a logo, and I started marketing to the adoptive moms of children in China who lived in Birmingham. It's a very niche group, but I was part of this group, and some of those ladies are still my clients today.
Wow.
It is wild, but they were like, "What? This is a thing? You can help me in my house?" I'm like, "Yes." So immediately, getting hired was that affirmation.
Yeah.
Getting paid, someone being like, "You've changed my life," or at least you've changed my junk drawer. Like that felt amazing, and just did something for me that staying at home didn't do. Like I would not change anything. I loved raising my kids, and I'm still not. Well, I probably am full time, but like my mom hat is a very important one to me. So, everybody makes these choices, and it was just a really good choice for me to start the business. And like it started as a hobby, but now it's so important to me. I love it. I love employing people. We're in 6 cities. I love being able to go to those cities and work with, network with people and get the word out about what we provide. So
So walk us through a little bit. What does that look like for you? So you started, I guess, in Birmingham. You were doing it. You were the one who was going in and cleaning out the closets and helping people get organized. And then the expansion phase. What happened there? Like, what made that take place?
So I would love to tell you that I'm like super strategic and intentional.
Yeah.
But actually I'm more of an opportunist.
Yeah.
And so when I recognize an opportunity, I'll take it. So one of the girls that worked for me, all my people are 1099 employees or contract workers. And she and her husband were relocating to Atlanta from Birmingham. And she's like, I still want to do this. And I was like, great. So instantly we have House Peace Atlanta.
Yeah.
And so she worked there for a few years. Funny enough, she moved back to Birmingham, but because of her work there, we developed other organizers. So we have 2 girls there who carry on what we do. And then my next city was Mobile, Alabama, because another organizer I knew just from being friends with online was selling her business. So I bought her business, which basically just looked like I bought her client list.
Right.
And that came with an organizer. And so now we have House Peace Mobile. And then what was the next one? Oh, House Peace New York happened because a friend of mine lives there, and she was looking for work, and I'm like, you could do this. She actually didn't have a ton of experience. She's an Enneagram 1, like kind of perfectionist, super practical. Like she had all the right sensibilities. I just had to teach her. And like once I taught her, she's great. So that's House Peace New York. And now it's the same kind of thing for Pensacola and Nashville. So yeah, it would be great if I could tell you like, oh, we've done all this market research. Yeah. It actually would be really smart for me to start like House Peace Huntsville. It's the fastest growing city in Alabama right now, but we just haven't gotten there yet. So.
Yeah. Tell me about the name a little bit, House Peace. Where'd that come from?
Well, I was actually going to mention that because you said home peace, and that's a common thing. But like in my mind, I named it House Peace because your home is to me more of your heart and your relationships. So I can't always help with that, but I can help you in your house. Yeah. And clutter chaos causes stress. It literally causes your body to keep the score and your cortisol levels to increase, especially in women. And I want to take that away. I want to reduce all the stimulation. I want women, well, anybody, but our main clients are women. I want them to feel like they have mastery over something, because like for me with the 3 little kids, you don't know when things are going to fall apart. You don't know when someone's going to have a blowout or someone's got a meltdown at Target or
Right.
whatever. There's a lot that's not under your control. But like, if I can have control over this little spot,
Yeah.
yes, that feels amazing. And I want other people to have that too.
Control what you can control, and you
Yeah.
can help them in those areas of
Yes.
inside the house. You can help bring
That's
some
right.
order.
And it will impact your home. It will impact your relationships.
Right.
And you can impact your children, teach them how to do these things. And it doesn't have to be, like a certain prescribed way. Like, it's really important to me that we work within how people's personalities are, or like if they have special needs in the home, or whatever the circumstances are. I want it to be right for them. So not all organizing jobs are created equal.
Yeah. So one of the things we love to ask those who come on the show is, like, what's next for you? So you've kind of spent some time building for your own self what brought that affirmation and satisfaction of just your purpose and everything else, and then helping other people acquire that as well, bringing order to people's houses and ultimately to their homes. So what's next? What does the next phase look like for you?
I want to keep expanding.
Yeah.
I want to be in as many cities as makes sense. Certainly the numbers matter. So we pay attention to our numbers and invoices and sales and all the things.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what's next for me is I want a TV show.
Okay.
So I'm working on a pitch, and I've got a meeting hopefully in another month or so with someone in Nashville, and I hope to have more meetings and keep networking, because my show, it's called House Therapy.
Okay.
But the idea is it's kind of like Marie Kondo meets Queer Eye, or What Not to Wear meets Hoarders. Like, I want to mine what is going on in the home, because to me it's never about the stuff.
Yeah.
It's about, again, is it the ADHD? Is it that we've inherited a whole disastrous mess from somebody else? Is there autism? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
For me, some of the chaos that I was experiencing as a younger mom had everything to do with not having parents live in town, not having family support, having a child who I had to give extra attention to because of her circumstances. Like, all those things mattered and informed my reality. And I want to do that on TV with other
Awesome.
people. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Thanks.
So do you think I just thought about this. Do you think that therapy background for you has
Oh,
helped
100%.
you
Yes.
in this? Because you probably find yourself more of helping people deal with issues far bigger than just, hey, I've got too much stuff in my closet.
100%. So my undergraduate degree is in psychology. I went to Purdue University, and then I went to a tiny seminary in Pennsylvania called Moravian for my master's in pastoral counseling. So yes, those things absolutely inform. People are like, oh, you don't use your therapy stuff. I'm like, you don't even know.
Every single day.
Yeah, because like sometimes people get overwhelmed or emotional or whatever. I love helping hoarders so much. It's I just think that like God gave this weird gift to me because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Hoarding is a clinical diagnosis. It's a mental illness, and it's a very confusing one for most people because it's so off-putting.
Right.
To me, the way I tell people like how to recognize hoarding, because people are like, oh, I'm a hoarder. I'm like, you're not.
Yeah.
Unless there's bugs and or a smell. And so it's very unappealing, but people who hoard have been abandoned by the resources in their life because they're mentally ill, and it's hard to deal with. And I don't have any of that baggage with them, so I can come in and like meet them where they are and say, hey, we have a problem that we can work on together, and we'll solve it, at least this little bit today.
Right.
And I really like, finding more about their care. Like one lady I'm working with right now, I've worked with her several times because it's not a once and done deal.
Yeah.
But like I made sure that she was seeing a doctor. Like she was, like, but I asked her, like, are you seeing a doctor? Do you have a social worker? Is there a church that knows what's going on, in your life or whatever? And so I'm not a social worker. I'm not technically a therapist, but I feel like I can help with the stuff and then just make sure that somebody else is aware of what's going on.
Yeah. So you're bringing some value to them beyond just...
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. Love that. So for us, we call our podcast the Uncommon Success Podcast because it's most people we talk to, their stories are very just different and unique. And so hearing your journey a little bit, I think may inspire other people of what they're pursuing. What would be maybe some advice that someone that has given you along the way? Maybe it was some piece of advice someone offered to you that helped make you take that step into what your purpose and your passions and stuff are. Is there anything that comes to mind when you think about just what is something somebody said to me that really helped change?
There have been people over the years who have sprinkled confetti on me, and I usually try to screenshot those things.
Yeah.
Because, again, being an Enneagram 3 and needing a lot of affirmation, you need like a constant influx of affirmation. You don't always get that. So anytime I get someone in my life who's like, hey, I love what you're doing, keep going, I screenshot that and I save it for later to remind myself. But something that's been on my mind for maybe a year is just the concept of yes and. Have you ever heard yes and?
Yeah.
As it relates to improv.
Yeah.
So I took an improv class recently with my brother, which was super fun. But the idea for people who may not know is when you're doing a scene, an improv scene, your job is to make your partner look good. And their job is to make you look good. You're never trying to one up. You're never really trying to bring the joke. You're wanting to set them up for the joke. And then what happens is this beautiful thing that's so much more creative than it would have been otherwise. So you always want to say yes to your scene partner. So even if you think it's dumb,
Right.
And the people who say no or yes, but those scenes fail. They will not be interesting. They will not be funny. And I feel like the yes and concept has just meant a lot to me in terms of friendships, business relationships, even with my clients. I want to be a yes and for them. And like I have seen so many people be yes and for me. And I'm really happy and excited to give that to somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're making this podcast. You just started. You've got all these downloads. Like, that's freaking awesome. I want to be a yes and to you and you for me,
Yeah.
And so I think that if someone is launching their business, or even if they're not, even if you're stuck or whatever, look for the yes and people. And those are the people who you're going to screenshot their text to you and keep that in a folder. And
They affirm you and what you've done and then build on it too.
That's what the and is about.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it makes you better and it makes them better.
Yeah.
And the people who are no or yes, but just be cautious.
Right.
And it's not, you will have those people in your life for sure. But the whole advice, which I agree with, like, oh, you got to do your thing and not care what other people think. Yes, sort of. But like, this is a way that I kind of think like, okay, there are people who believe in me, so I can keep going and keep doing this thing that I think I'm supposed to do.
Right. Love that. So if people, maybe they've been listening today, we know it's a quick little midweek thing we're dropping on our audience here just as a bonus to them. If they wanted to connect and just follow your journey after hearing your story, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
The best way is on Instagram, to be honest.
Okay.
I think marketing-wise, you're not really supposed to drive people to Instagram these days,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah.
This is where we have the most fun.
Hey, it's the uncommon success. You can be as uncommon as you want.
Okay,
to. Yeah.
thanks. Yes, and.
Yeah.
So my Instagram handle is at house.peace. And my personal one is at Tara Bremer, where I still do on-brand stuff, but it's more expanded to like family and whatnot. But my website is housepeace.net. If someone was interested in getting in our queue to get some hands-on work, and we have a newsletter and stuff like that. So people should sign up for our email because I always send out like resources and links and products that we recommend and why, and things like that. So, but all the fun and the magic is set on Instagram, house.peace.
And we'll drop that stuff in the show notes here, just so if you are listening or watching and you're like, hey, I'm going to find out more, you can easily access that. Do you travel? Like, is it something you just focus on those cities, or do you do this nationwide?
So we do focus on those cities because I've got people in those cities, but I do travel quite a bit.
Okay.
Usually what I like to do is I develop relationships with content creators or, influencers and go do work for them, and then I'll add paid jobs onto that too. So we just did some in Paducah, Kentucky, randomly.
Yeah.
Sarah Stewart Holland, who's a podcaster there, we did work for her for a collaboration, and then we did other gigs. So usually if I can get several things going, we'll go wherever. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Well, if you're listening today and you found some value in that, you're like, hey, I'd love just to follow along with Tara's story, definitely follow along. And maybe you were listening today and you're like, hey, that's me. Her story is what I feel like my call and purpose. You might just be the next city they're looking to expand to. So reach out to her, follow along, and we're excited to see what this journey does for you, and hopefully in the near future be able to watch you on this new TV show.
Thank you, Andy.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for joining us today.
Well, that was a really great episode. One I'm sad I missed out on. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah.
Just giving you a hard time.
It was kind of a last-minute deal. She popped in the studio and I said, hey, if you're in record, we want to do a quick interview.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
She knocked it out of the park.
It was amazing. Tell me what your favorite part of the interview was.
I think the idea of, the difference in the home and the house. I messed that up on her, and she corrected, but, it's very powerful, her message there of that, she's like, the home is, that's your heart, and I can't fix that. But I can help bring order to the house, and by doing that, they can bring order to the home. So I thought that was a very powerful concept and statement. What about for you? What was
That was really good. I really like how she said, why is your house this way? What are the reasons? Let's get to the thing behind the thing.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting to ask more questions to yourself.
And I love that she took her passions, what she loves to do. This is about the Uncommon Success podcast. She took an uncommon concept and made a business out of it. It was her passion, her desire to help people. She loved order, cleaning houses, organization. She took her passion, made a business out of it, and now it's growing and expanding and blowing up. And I love that. Just the entrepreneur in me just loves to see that take place and that happen. So I thought that was pretty incredible. And encourage you. Maybe we mentioned it on the interview, but if you're listening and you're interested, we are going to drop all her information in those show notes to follow her. Get on there, like her Instagram, follow her in her journey. This will be popping up, this episode with her, and we'll share all that stuff. But we also encourage you to like, share, and subscribe on our stuff as well. We need your help. We're trying to grow and expand in our presence. So on our YouTube channel, subscribe. Apple, Spotify, however you listen, subscribe to it so that you get the downloads and notifications. That's a big help for us. So the more we can grow that in our platform, that helps us with all the YouTube algorithms and everything else to grow and expand. But we're real pleased so far with what's taking place in this first quarter, but we want more. But also with our social media, we'd love to see you interact with us through that as well. So Instagram, what are they now? You got this part down. You say it every week.
Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
So follow us on those platforms and like, share, and subscribe, and leave us comments.
Yes,
We'd love to
ask
hear
us
from you.
questions.
Yeah.
We like to hear from you guys.
Good episode. I think it went well.
That was so good. I'm excited for everybody to get to listen.
Yeah, and at some point in the future, we are going to have that WNBA player on here.
She's real.
She is real.
We promise.
And just that's why you don't drop little hints like that. And but you when you pass off the reins to a couple of ladies who just love to.
But hold on. Who's next
run
week?
the show?
Who's next week? Will you tell us next week?
I'll tell you next week who's on the show.
No, will you
Yes.
tell us today who
Guaranteed.
next week is? Will you tell us?
No, I will not.
Or yes and?
Oh, sorry. So not no, I won't, but yes and.
Yes,
we
and.
learned that. Yes, and I'm not going to tell you. Yes, I will tell you, and it'll be next week.
Okay. Well, it was worth a try.
out.
It was worth a try.
Worth a shot.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. It was wonderful spending time with you all today.
Yep. Have a great week. See ya. Thank you for joining us on the Uncommon Success Podcast, where your commitment to growth fuels our passion to create more content. Special thanks to our executive producer, Jess Camp, and our technical director, Stephen Posey. We're excited about our episode next week and hope you would tune in to join us as we work together to continue our journey towards success. See you next time. Have a great week.